3 of our series of Pray, Plan, and Execute, where I take you along my own Christ-centered goal-setting process and show you behind the scenes of the website. So if you haven't already, go back and watch part 1 and part 2, where we break down time blocking, time framing, goal setting, and planning. Today we're going to talk about applying what you learn. So for me, since I'm using the website as an example throughout these videos, I have had to take time to research a lot of things about Shopify, to research and watch videos on how to navigate the website, how to create sections, how to upload products. There was so much that went behind it. Sometimes applying what you learn can also become overwhelming because now you are filled with information, you are filled with a to-do list, and it's like, so where do I start? I encourage you to break things down into small steps, micro steps. For me, with the website, I had to literally find out about each section. So under my home screen, what are my navigations there? Where is that going to lead me to? Under products and orders, what spaces are for me? What are spaces that the customers will see as well? So I want to share some key points to focus on while you are trying to execute your goal, apply all the things that you have learned, and start to knock out that to-do list. Number 1 is focus on what has to get done for this goal to come to fruition. For me, with the website, that was definitely the home page as a whole, having the banner, having the logo, having links to my other social medias and things like that. The back end stuff, that's the stuff that really took the longest, was learning the back end of Shopify and things I have to have in place for customers, like shipping profiles, also a few marketing things in there, and making it easy for people to navigate on the mobile view. That was one of my biggest focus, was how the website was going to work on mobile. It still looks amazing on the web, but I had to make sure it was practical, functional, and beautiful for the mobile view. So these things for me were like non-negotiables. If I wanted this to work, it had to work well on mobile. So these really things identify what are the things that have to get done, not just for yourself, but maybe for others. If you're running a business, then you want to think about the consumer, you want to think about your target audience, their shopping experience. If it is just personal goals, you want to think about a realistic time frame, and what are things you can let go of, and what are things that just have to happen. Another point I want to bring up is focusing on one thing at a time. And that's actually something that's very hard for me to do, but for the website, I had to do it. Instead of thinking of the website as a whole, of course, I had a vision of what I wanted it to feel like and look like aesthetically as a whole, but I really had to take time to piece it together, and just section it out for myself so I wouldn't get so overwhelmed. So when I was working on the banner, I solely focused on the banner. When I was working on the header, I solely focused on the header, and then took all of these moving pieces and they start to come together as a whole along the way. So really focus on executing the one thing that's going to get you to the next thing, or the one part that's going to get you to the next part, because sometimes things can go wrong when we miss things and they slip through the cracks. I know for me, one of the hardest parts was actually navigating connecting my domain, mostly because it was really technical terms that I just did not understand. Sometimes I do not want to sit through videos. For some things I can, for other things I can't. But because I was also focused on the front end, like the visually pleasing stuff, while learning the back end at the same time, some days I just wanted my focus to be on the visual things, but I knew I had to figure this out. if I wanted people to be able to find my site. Some things I do to help with this, because I am oftentimes doing multiple things at once or thinking about multiple things at once. I had to really just hone in to that moment, that thing, dedicating a time slot to figure out whatever it is. Also, not looking at the other moving parts, really just honing in, focusing on this one part and making it a priority. So I had to really make sure that I took the time to sit down, learn about the domain, how it worked. I use Squarespace. That is my domain host. It used to be Google Domains, but Squarespace took them over. So I had to make sure I knew what I was doing on there, and then also just look into how to transfer onto Shopify, then how that would affect the Etsy. Definitely a lot of moving parts in just this one section. The thing that has really helped me along this whole journey is being able to learn how to progress and not look for perfection. That is something I have struggled with time and time again, because I want things to be perfect. I want it to go perfectly, and I still struggle with that. But I have learned to embrace the process, embrace the progress. So sometimes you might have to give up something just to be able to continue to move forward. When I first started So This Seed Stationery, I couldn't start on Shopify. Etsy was very feasible for me as a beginner, as someone who's still learning. Now that I have learned all these things that I have in the past year, I can take all of that and pour it into this Shopify. Even with launches, sometimes there were things or products that I've wanted to launch but just couldn't at the time, or maybe there's a certain look I'm going for and it doesn't 100% look like that, but I have to kind of just let go of that idealism and accept it for what it is and still be proud of the progress that I have made. So ultimately, what you're looking to do is take practical steps forward. Again, small steps, big goals. Small steps do not look perfect, and they do not work out perfectly either. But if you just continue to look ahead and remind yourself of those big goals or the big picture, all the small steps ultimately become worth it, and they ultimately become lessons and things that you can apply to make whatever it is that you're doing better and better. To share with you guys the final results of the website. In the next slide, I'm going to put a walkthrough of the site. I'm so excited to be sharing the site with you guys, and thank you so much for watching this series. And remember, all you have is all you need.